Hello, welcome to episode 79 of Your Ultimate Comeback. I'm your host, Brad, here with my co-host, Raquel, and today we have a guest we're very excited about. So today we have Dr. Jason Amstutz on the show. This guy has been one of my hidden secrets for all my clients for a couple decades now.
Pushing 2.
Pushing 2 decades. Yeah, I've been around for a long time. So anytime I have a client that's been hurt, recovering from an injury, not getting anywhere with the rehab or the recovery, I always send them over to Dr. Jason's crew, and it's always a magical experience for them. I literally just sent a client over the other day, broken foot, recovering from it.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and was really frustrated. The PT just wasn't getting anywhere. I finally said, hey, you got to go see my guys over at Link Medical, and it's okay, she does. I get a text after a visit. Holy bleep.
Why don't you?
100% better after one treatment. Like, what the hell?
Why don't you say what the word was? Because we're easing people in. Oh, we're easing people in. Okay, got it.
Yeah. If it was me that said it, I would have given it.
Yeah, got it.
Protecting her.
Okay. Oh,
and,
I see.
We're very
Okay.
professional.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Jason,
That's amazing.
thanks for being on the show, man. Excited to talk shop with you a little bit.
Thank you both for having me.
Yes.
Known you a long time.
Yeah, we met in like 2004, 2005, right?
Or maybe even sooner. Was I already in chiropractic school?
You were finishing chiropractic school.
Oh, I was finishing.
Yeah, you came over to the gym. You were training some clients while you were finishing chiropractic school, and then you started your practice out of the little gym,
a little place on Markley.
Yeah,
that's right.
1,000 square foot, like little gym, 2 little offices.
That's right.
That's where the magic started.
That's right. Crazy. That was at least 2004 or 5.
Yeah, so 20 years ago.
Yep.
You're getting old, bro.
I know. Hey, you're gonna tell
Brad
me.
isn't. Brad isn't.
Brad
Just
has
you.
not.
Yeah. Oh.
I had a new client that started with me, one of our clients' daughters. And it was so funny. I think she thought I was a lot younger than I was because she was asking me, like, oh, where'd you go to college? What did you study? Why did you choose that college? And I'm thinking, holy shit, where'd I go to college? Oh, yeah. It was such a fun conversation with her.
Oh, my gosh.
I was like, that's great. But
That's great.
I'm like, I think I'm older than your parents.
That's happening.
Yeah.
That's happening.
So start off, give us a little rundown on what you do, your background. I know that's a big open book, but if you could... in the next 30 minutes, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think the important pieces are classically trained as a chiropractor with wanted to be the sports chiropractor, like a lot of people that used to play sports. I finished that in 2006, and then when I was renting space in your place in Irvine, I didn't have a lot of clients, so I read a lot of books and I took a lot of classes, and I studied a lot of ART, which is a big buzzword in the industry that I'm in.
Okay, what does that mean for those of us that don't know?
That's active release technique.
Oh, okay.
That was well before its age and treatment of the soft tissue based problems in addition to chiropractic. It was started by a chiropractor. It's really big in professional sports.
Yeah.
Like especially back then, it was like if you weren't doing ART on somebody, then athletes would be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh.
So between that and trigenics and some of the other things that I studied early on, then I was having a problem with my back, ironically enough, as a chiropractor, really bad in my 30s. And I read another book and they mentioned this French osteopath, Guy Voyer, and they were talking, there was some things about moving the fluids of the body and rehab and some other things that I was like, oh, this is interesting. This isn't just chains and trains and things of the body. And that kind of caught fire with me. I learned a couple of things on how to help myself. That was the Eldoa, which we can talk about later and what that is. And my back started feeling better. So I went,
From doing the modalities that you were...
From doing this one exercise, and I was like struggling with my back badly.
Wow.
I remember those days.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I started doing this. It was a stick figure drawing in this book with the little instructions, like 5 or 6 sentences, and it explained what to do, and I started doing it. My back started feeling better.
Wow.
So I looked up resources in the area. There was a really smart guy. I don't know if you ever met Melvin Tan. He's an awesome acupuncturist who was another student of Guy's. He was just in Irvine. And
Hey, remember this story? I went to
thanks for interrupting.
No,
I'm serious.
giveaway things. I remember when we first got hands on it. I went to Ben Prentice's place for a week, and they just let me come and just watch. And one of them gave me all the Guy Voyer's myofascial stretches. Remember that?
Oh yeah, totally.
And you'd been doing the Eldoa. I came back to the gym I showed you, and you and I did all of them.
Yep. In one day.
In one day, all of them. And we were both sick as shit, like flu-like symptoms for like 3 days afterwards.
Yeah.
What were you trying to do by doing all of them?
We didn't know.
You didn't know. Oh, okay.
Something we hadn't done before
I got
at the
it.
time.
I got
Whole book of all his different myofascial stretches, and he had been
Hilarious,
into the Eldoas. So like, oh, dude. So we just did all of them.
Okay, so why did it make you sick or
You can
flu-like?
explain it better than I can.
Okay.
but-
I mean, I think it was like a release of all different types of toxins that get stored in all of your fascia. Like the detoxification doesn't just happen in the liver, but all different parts of your anatomy are affected, and the myofascial stretches are that powerful.
Wow.
Yeah. Especially, I remember you were like, "I'm not doing well today, buddy." I'm like, I wasn't doing
Was that
great.
the next day or the same
It was
day?
the next day.
Yeah.
For like 2 days, I
Wow.
felt like I had flu. I was a
wild.
wreck.
So then I went into a deep dive real quick with these new people that I had met in these courses. I didn't get to ask Guy at the time. And I was like, what happened? They're like, I mean, you guys totally fried your nervous system. Like beyond.
You're like, this is
But we were
not the
just
way that
stretching.
you're
Yeah.
supposed to
Yeah,
do it.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was just probably, 3 hours straight of
3
stretching?
hours. We did all of them. Like,
Wow.
I forgot about that, Brad. That's hilarious.
I will never forget about that.
Not one of the wisest moves ever, but
Hey,
that's how
good
you
to
live
know.
and you learn.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
You got to experience it.
I bet you never have anybody do all of them in a day.
No, no.
There's a disclaimer.
That's right. That's right.
Do you know that Dawn Shapiro reached out to me and said, you've got to have Dr. Jason on the show?
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't
She
know
did.
that.
Yes, she did. She said, I'm loving the podcast so much, and he has helped me so much, and I want him to be on your show.
You both know her.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, she
okay.
took class in the weight
Yeah.
room, and
Yeah.
Raquel sent her over. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that is like the most recent
Yeah.
example of. That's what really motivated me, because you and I have been talking about me coming on the
Yeah.
podcast, and I literally, with this case, because it's so fresh, and we both know, and I'm not going to talk names, but you guys already did, so I guess that cat's
Well,
out
she
of the bag.
wanted you to be on the
Okay.
show, so here you are.
So I was like,
Asking
you know
you
what?
shall receive,
This
Dawn.
is a classic example of not jumping ahead too much, but like biologics, specifically stem cells, can't fix everything. Like you got to have the conditions in order to make the most effect from really expensive injections. And she's a classic example.
Really?
Yeah, you want me to tell you more?
Of course we do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, basically, she had been coached for the last couple of months since hurting herself in February.
Now
to not
remind me
move.
what the initial injury was.
She played 9 days in a row.
Okay, tennis, correct?
Tennis.
Right.
There was really no mechanism of injury. Like she didn't like fall, slip,
Okay.
twist,
Right.
whatever. And she walked away with a little pain on the inside of her knee. Kind of, I think they later determined that it was a little bit of a strain of her MCL. And then she had some other things like I think kneecap-ish that were kind of giving her trouble. And she didn't know what to do.
Right.
So everybody said, don't, you can't do anything. Don't move like that. That whole kiss of death as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And then, she got a couple of rounds of stem cells, and this is only last week or the week before that I met her. So how many months is
Oh, wait. Oh, this is super new.
that? Super
Oh,
new.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think maybe this week was the second week
Oh,
that we've been working with her. And
this is someone that's very fit.
Yeah, totally.
Right. There's not someone that's very overweight and a lot of pressure on the knee.
Super fit, plays
Very
a ton of
fit. Yes,
tennis,
very fit.
trains very
Yes.
religiously.
yeah,
like,
exactly. So she was going through like your typical protocols
right.
and things, and then even iced the cake with the multiple stem cells, but her knee was getting worse, not better.
Wow.
And so that's when she came in and she's like told me the story
Because of you, I assume.
because
right,
of this podcast, because you mentioned it when you were talking with Stephanie.
Really?
Yes.
Look at that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Totally.
I love it.
So I was like, okay, this is, we went through the examination process. There was a couple of things with her pelvis and some other like relatedness to her knee, but the knee really, it needed to be moved. So I did some of the osteoarticular pumping, which moves the fluid of the knee, and did some other things. And right at the end of my first session with her, Max at my office, who's the person, the similar trainer and everything that does a lot of the rehab with people, he was having a class with one other woman. I'm like, you know what? It's not going to hurt to throw her into that. So she went from doing nothing. I checked everything out. There was no like major pathology,
right.
except she just was lacking movement and some things. She went into this class, and the next day she was like 50% better.
Wow.
And she like
incredible.
did a bunch of exercises and things with Max.
Yeah.
that's when she started telling me, you got to go on there. And,
I love it.
I'm like,
I love it, yeah.
okay. I'll get it figured out,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I'll share a couple stories about you. Good stories.
I was worried. Weren't
Only
you?
gonna share the good ones.
I could share a story or two also, but
A couple examples of how powerful the work is that you do. Like, there's a reason why it's you and your guys that only touch myself, my kids. So a few years ago, I was working with this high school football team. They were undefeated, and they just were about to win. They just won the CIF sectionals, and the goal was to win the state championship. And at the end of this game, one of the very last plays, I watched our quarterback throws the ball, gets hit on the sideline, comes running off the field, took a shot to the family jewels, and he was just like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "You all right?" And he's like, "I think so." You know, as we start talking about maybe like kids later in life, he's like, "I think so," and that's what he's worried about. And he ran all the way across the field like that. And then a few minutes later, I hear somebody say, "Oh my God, Ethan's hurt." Oh, I didn't even say his name, but I looked over and
well, you didn't say the school. So
yeah, and all of a sudden, like, he's in excruciating pain in his ankle.
Oh.
And the orthopedic guy on the sideline looks at him, is like, "Oh yeah, you broke your ankle. You're done." I'm like, I just watched this kid run across the field. You're not doing that on a broken ankle. And I said that, and he goes,
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Like, I think it's broken. He's done. The season's over. Everyone's freaking out because he's one of our stars. And I remember I grabbed the coach. I'm like, "Hey, whatever it's going to take, I got to get him to go over see Dr. Jason." So like, him running off the field like that tells me they aren't seeing the truth.
Right.
It's something else. There's something wrong. There's something different. I promise you.
Right.
He goes, "Okay, great. Well, I'll introduce his parents." I told the parents, I'm like, "Just trust me. Like, I'll get you in tomorrow. Like, you have to do
Get
this."
you in tomorrow. You have that code,
Well,
huh?
I mean, we're close. Like, I knew that if I called him, like, "Hey, here's what's on the line."
right.
Like,
Absolutely.
that he or one of his other guys
Yes.
would get him in. And they took him to get an X-ray, and the X-ray came back negative. They couldn't see anything, but they're like, "It doesn't mean it's not fractured."
Because
Like,
it doesn't show up for a certain number of days,
yeah,
potentially.
yeah. And so they
I remember
know
this
that.
case. I remember this case.
Yeah, so I got them to take him, and that was Friday night. X-rays were, I think, either late Friday night or early Saturday morning. I think you saw him on Sunday or something like that. Like,
It might have been a weekend, yeah.
yeah, he came in on the weekend, and I remember Monday, we're all out at practice. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, like, what's gonna happen?" And freaking Ethan comes running on the field,
No.
like 85% better. It was the subtalar joint. It just got knocked out of alignment, which was horrifically painful.
Right,
But
right.
as soon as Jay popped it back into the right alignment and did all
Did all the
everything,
pumping and everything. Yeah, I was like, "Oh wow, okay."
Yeah.
He's like skipping out of the office, and then he texted me and said that he was playing and good to go at practice. I was like,
Holy
"Okay."
cow.
I mean, there's no.
didn't miss a practice, didn't miss
Wow.
a game. The team ends up going and
Amazing.
winning the state championship. So there's a scenario there. I'll use another recent one with my son. Yeah, my son sees you guys a little too much. But he's like growing he grew like 4 inches in the last 6 months. It's super hard to keep him healthy when they're growing like that. But it was, I think, a season or two ago. It's on video. He's running a route, just running, and all of a sudden just falls to the ground and starts like, my knee, I can't bend it. It's like all locked up. And people are like, "Oh, he's just cramping." I'm like, "This bone where he's pointing, like, he's not cramping," but he's like just freaking out. And I'm watching video, and you see him just running, and as he's running, he stepped in a hole.
Oh.
And that's what, and then fell and went down. I took him to Jay, and Jay starts playing with him. It's like, "Oh, it's the fibular head is a little out of alignment," and pop, 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 pop.
Really?
And my son is just like, he like that. He goes, "Dad, who is this guy?" Because all of a sudden, all the pain was gone.
Who is this
movement was
wizard?
gone. Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
"Who is this guy, and what did he just
Yeah.
do to me?" So like, that's my like favorite stories, like, to share with people, because when people start complaining about stuff and it's not getting better or they're hurt, I always be like, "Hey, you got to go see these guys." "Well, who are they?" I'm like, "Well, you're not gonna be able to find anything on them because of who they work with and how busy they are.
Sure.
Like, they don't need it."
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And so that's why you've never heard of them. And I start sharing these stories, and every single person I've ever sent over is always like, "Why didn't you tell me about them sooner?"
Wow.
Well, thank you. That's quite a compliment. I mean, hey, we're just trying to do our best with the newer information that's out there and trying to move in that direction, you know?
That's just 2 stories of many in the last.
Now, how much?
few
What does
years.
that feel like when you do that sort of?
The pumping?
Or that.
Most of it is the pumping that's different. I mean, the chiropractic piece is still an element in this traditional osteopathy that I've been studying for the last 13, 14 years. You know, chiropractic was part of that original curriculum, and then it just got boiled out by one guy.
Oh, okay.
Like, it got distilled down to, all the other pieces don't matter. It's just the adjustment. And then that made its own fruitful branch of, hands-on medicine in the United States, right?
Sure.
But if you go back to the original pieces, where it was still like all about all the connections, all about the fascia. I mean, in the 1800s, the guy who started osteopathy, Andrew Still, he was talking all about the connective tissue and how that's where all the messaging of the body is and all the intelligence of yourself and how you move and all these things. It's not just the bones and the nerves and the silly meat that moves us around.
Silly meat.
I mean, that's kind of, that's how it was.
The meat suit.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that really, that was a big piece of the puzzle for how to make a change, and on top of already having the chiropractic piece in place. Because the chiropractic stuff is also like fundamental.
Yeah.
Like if the bone doesn't move, the bone's got to move. Now, do we do other things to make it a more permanent change? Yes, that's the pumping. That's where the pumping comes in.
Tell me what that looks like. I can't even envision.
Very gentle. It's like
Can you do it on Brad right now?
It's like a repeated opening of the joint if you're trying to make some space. So on the ankle, it's like
so is it a
very
flexion
subtle
and extension, or
coupled with the practitioner or the doctor like opening up specific parts, whether it's between the tibia and the talus, or between the talus and the calcaneus, or all of the above. I mean, these kids and athletes, anything that's weight bearing, loaded, they compress these things on a daily basis, and there's really nothing to decompress them, so to speak. So this pumping is like the perfect thing to restore the normal joint fluid movement and also the space. They're kind of those are kind of synonymous,
right?
Or harmonious, I should say.
Makes sense.
If you open up the space, the fluid's in there. And that's what the real cushion is, especially in these weight-bearing joints, the knee, the ankle. It's not just the soft tissue meniscus, because the ankle doesn't have one.
Right.
So that's not the cushion. The cushion in my spine is not just the disc. If the disc has no water, there's no anti-compressiveness. There's a little bit.
It's like a flat donut.
That's right, exactly. But the disc is very good at trying to pull it apart if it's still negated of its water. So it's really about moving these fluids. You become like, the mystery of what we do is about putting fluids back in places, whether it's tissue or joint, where it once was, which increases the movement and the quality of the movement that can happen at that joint.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you have to adjust. That's a piece of the puzzle. In some cases, not all. Some people are like, okay, I've been to 4 other chiropractors, and you're not going to touch me. You're not going to adjust me because I've been adjusted literally.
Do you feel like some doctors are just overkill on that?
Well, I mean, yes, because it shouldn't be the only tool.
Thing. Right.
That's it. It's not a bad modality. It just needs to be used with the equal amount of other parts.
With discretion, probably.
Exactly. So those are the people that you definitely can't adjust because they won't have it. So then
obviously they've had an issue.
Well, you do the pumping and stuff on them, and they're like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Like,
is that painful at all?
Not at all.
Really?
Even in an acute sprain.
Really?
I mean, you got to be careful with an acute sprain, but yeah, for the most part.
It must feel like relief.
It relaxes your nervous system. It relaxes. I just had a friend of my 8-year-olds in yesterday, first time for a kid 8 years old, and he was like, he was only on the table for 5 minutes. His dad's sitting there. He's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah.
And he says, how long is this going to take? And I
thought, kid said that?
The kid said that to me. And I'm like, oh boy, talk about earning somebody's instant respect.
Yeah.
And his dad's like, why are you asking that? So and so, and he says, because this feels really good, Dad. That's what he said. I was like, okay. I'm like, all right, so not so bad. So
Gavin almost falls asleep on the table.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of breathing involved too.
Breathing.
Like rhythmic inhale, exhale to help with the treatment.
Yeah.
And that is treating them also, unbeknownst to them, to relax and focus on what I'm doing.
That's awesome.
No phones, no distractions, you know.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
When Quinn had jammed her finger, would that have been able to help, I wonder? My daughter from what it's called a joust, when you're both going for the ball and one person will win the joust. And one of her teammates actually during practice jammed her finger, it broke. And the doctor that she saw and put a cast up to here, and for this little tiny, and my husband and daughter decided that wasn't a good idea, so they took the cast off.
They were right.
I know they were, but I about lost my mind, as you can imagine. She's like, no, I don't want to be atrophied and all that from 6 weeks. Yeah. So I should have taken her there.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's not much you can do for the fracture outside of some specific modality, like some specific microcurrent. But but you don't want any other joint to freeze while the one thing is healing. And that is the nature of what we do from a immediate post-surgical perspective is, okay, that's great. You had surgery on your ACL yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
That's all well and good. We'll respect that. But you're going to move everything else. And you're going to keep walking like you normally would. Or you're going to keep doing whatever.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
For sure.
Then you don't have the whole body go through all these changes of how it moves. Because then you have to regain all that somewhere in your rehab plan. Yeah. And if you never lose that, you don't have to go regain it.
Yeah.
So it really helps expedite the process. I think that's one of the things that's really put us on the map in professional sports is it's all about return to play faster. Yeah. Right?
And who doesn't want that?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But there's also a biological limit to this. Yeah. Right? You just have to make sure that the body goes and heals, but you can't have any other things to fix at the end. Yeah. So that's
I guess that did make sense though, because another player's mom said, "Do not let them cast you because your whole everything's going to be atrophied."
Go away. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
that's a great example.
Right.
That's a great example.
Right.
Yeah.
I hate it when my husband's right.
I took his side on that. I know. Can you even believe this? I'm like, yeah, I think that's the right call. Like, why do they need to, unless there's something they're not telling us, why she cast it up to her elbow? It doesn't make any sense for a finger.
I know.
Right.
My own thought was maybe there's something more that they haven't, it's not, it's been, I don't know, but I thought that was very smart.
The rule follower in me was not pleased. Is all I have to say about that.
Yeah. So I just want to reference, for those of you that watched the episode with Stephanie, when she was talking about the knee rehab that she went through, the guy that I was working with was Dr. Jason. Oh. So we spoke a lot about him and the work you guys did together. But I just want to make sure everyone understood that that's who Dr. Jason is.
Oh, okay.
Was the same person that Stephanie and I were talking about with her knee rehab after her ACL tear and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She knows the process very well.
She knows it very well. She was a trooper.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah. So in a scenario like that, I remember when she wanted to come see you, I was like, okay, I'll refer you, but you gotta be all in. You can't half-ass it with these guys. And even when I called you, I said, hey, I got this person, and you're like, oh God, is she gonna do? I'm like, she should do it,
right?
Because she's a badass, and she came in and just attacked it, and
yeah, totally,
yeah. But
the proof is in the pudding, She's skiing, she said this year, better than she ever has.
She squatted 135 pounds below parallel for 5 or 6 reps the other day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was super impressive.
That's
she's gotten really strong. One thing I want to touch on with you, this is something I've been learning with you over the last probably 6 months, is the importance of the feet for athletic people and how that is just never spoken about. And some of the stuff you've shown me, with pumping the feet, because use my son for the example, his feet just the bones kind of get stuck, and that leads to breakdown in other places. And talk a little bit about the toe pro that you have shared with me, because that's been a game changer for my kid.
I mean, sure, no problem.
Yeah,
I think the foot is often overlooked from many reasons, and I really wasn't aware of how much so myself until the last year and a half. And dealing with a lot of hockey players who don't really get to use their feet that much, and they're kind of, they're in
bound
a because they're always bound. Mm-hmm. Over the years, their feet got so tight and stiff, especially some of these guys that are getting above 30, and it was as soon in that sport,
that's all right. For.
Yeah.
But as soon as we would gain some movement in the tissue by again moving the fluids to get more fluid back to where they weren't moving, all of them would come back and be like, I can't even tell you how much better I can skate. Because if your foot gets tight and your ankle gets tight in that sport, over the course of your career, your skating gets worse. And the guys that really excel at young ages or older ages are the guys that can still skate. They can all, go around people or hit the putt or whatever, but it really has to do with how well they can edge. And so that gets lost if you're not careful. Yeah. That's not part of your off-season return to normalcy. Does your foot still expand on the ground? I just had a kid, I don't know, he's 14, and he was not understanding that his foot lost the spring on one side. So I did a measurement across, the metatarsal arch, where the toes are, the widest point, and I measured it. I put a tape measure underneath one side, and he went from not stepping on it to stepping on it, and it grew a quarter inch or a little bit more. And we did it on the foot that was in question because he hurt his foot and his knee on that side before. And it was it expanded less than 1/8 of an inch.
Oh, wow.
So and that's part of this foot The foot's supposed to be a spring.
Yeah.
It's got to both absorb the force and, most importantly, to the strength piece, it has to return the force off of the big toe mainly. And so during this process of just like, okay, I probably need to look at the foot more. I was getting a lot of ankle injuries in that sport and in the NFL. And then I started like doing some of these tests that I had learned from this guy in Colorado who's a chiropractor. He's got a really great informative website and he's all over YouTube.
Is that Knowles?
No, that is his YouTube channel and everything is Human Locomotion.
Oh, the Toe Pro guy.
Yeah, the Toe Pro guy.
Oh God, his stuff is so good.
I can't believe I'm blanking on his name.
Yeah.
It's terrible. But anyway.
See the knees over toes guy?
No.
No, it's different.
No, this is very different.
Yeah, this is very different. So anyway, I started exploring some of those things with some of the plantar fascial problems, insertional Achilles problems, especially in the NFL. And like everybody that started strengthening their foot based on his research, and it was like they were changing the way that they played.
Yeah.
Because they could absorb the force and move in different directions because they had a stiffer, more explosive foot, not just a, like a flat pancake when it hits the ground, or too rigid of one. Either one of those is a problem.
Yeah. Too
Too mushy, you got a problem. Too rigid, you got a problem. And you got to strengthen one more than you got to pump it, and you got to pump one maybe more than you need to stiffen it.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of what I've learned.
Yeah.
And then the talus that you mentioned, that's a big challenge for a lot of people. And we do so much plantar flexion. And the only thing that keeps the talus from going forward is basically the extensors of the toes and the anterior tibialis. So if you don't train those, then you have this talus that wants to constantly move too far forward when you plantar flex. And that creates a lot of problems with especially a lot of stop and go athletes on the ground. So those are all pieces that
pickleball players.
pickleball players.
Please listen to this.
Yeah.
That's a huge piece.
Yes.
Your foot's got to move. Your ankle's got to move. If not, you injure your knee.
Yeah.
If not, you injure your back because you'll get the movement from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been the last year or so of understanding the foot and how it has an immediate impact on athleticism and timing.
Yeah. I've actually, so since you had us get the Toe Pro with Gavin, I started using it
Tell
as
me
well.
what that is.
I have it at the gym. It's
Okay.
just this little training tool.
Okay.
I don't even know how to explain it, but it's really focused on strengthening the toes, the feet, the ankles, and different movement patterns and stuff. It's been pretty cool. Like so 3 months ago, bone spur on my foot. I couldn't walk on hard floors. I could put that's why I was like huge cushy shoes. I started doing all the Toe Pro stuff. I started taking a bunch of BPC 157 to help. Dude, last Thursday night, I threw my cleats on at practice with my kids' practice, and I was out running for like 2 hours, cutting, changing direction. Like,
you.
Wow, awesome. The other day, I was like, dude, you got to be careful. Because I'm the old guy out there.
Right.
But it was awesome.
That's amazing.
But I know it's the common, because when I first started with the Toe Pro stuff, it was super hard for me. Like, you have my kid doing like 20 reps, I'm getting like 6 or 7.
Right.
It was like my feet were.
So was it
really
a stretch? It was.
No, it's all pretty much strengthening.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Below the knee.
Okay.
Pretty much all the muscles below the knee.
You have to show it to me.
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
I'm big on every one of my yoga classes doing toe stretches and ankle stretches every class.
Right.
Because I feel like so many people cannot sit when their toes curled under at all. Or
The bottom of the foot's too tight.
right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Or sit back on their heels and lift their knee, and people look at me like, are we doing this again?
Yeah.
We are. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, the more time I spend with Jay lately, the more I'm just like, I don't mean to call you Dr. Jason. The more time I spend with you, the more like I'm working on my kids' feet and my feet. I'm like, oh my Lord, like this is, everyone needs to be doing this.
Foundation,
and no one knows
foundation,
about it.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's really big for youth sports because nobody takes the time to train their feet.
Yeah.
And that's you can give a kid a big boost in a lot of things by
It's
training
funny.
their feet properly.
He's getting faster, and we're doing no sprint training. But everybody's asking me like, oh, well, what are you doing, like track work? And I'm like, no.
GoPro.
GoPro. Like, what?
Wow.
Like, it's pretty crazy.
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah, how you can see his speed getting better, and like his vertical jump is incredible. I mean, it's like, geez. And we've done like hardly any training, and we've done a lot of like wide receiver skill stuff.
Sure.
But like last year we did a lot of track work. None of that this year. It's just been a lot of focus on his feet. Making all the little drills you give us to do with him. And I was watching
that's
him.
awesome.
Yeah, I was watching him last night at practice. I'm like, dang, like you're grown 4 inches. You put 15 pounds on, and you're moving better than you were a year ago. And I know it's because his feet are just working so much better.
That's great. That's a great story.
Yeah, he hates it. I mean, it's there every night. He's like, oh, again. I'm like, dude, it's making you faster.
Yeah, right,
Like,
That's what you gotta tell a kid, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna make you faster.
And he's starting to see it and start believing it more. But in the beginning, he was like, can I hold some weights, Dad? You know, like, it's
Yeah.
just body weight
Brad's son.
movement.
Yeah.
Do some weights. Like, come on. I want to squat. I want to, like, no, we're going to do this. So,
That's great.
but I think like people that are hearing this, if you play those like pickleball, tennis, where you're, change of direction, quick feet, all that stuff. I mean, pickleball is the number one, like, greatest risk of injury in orthopedic scenarios, right?
I think so. I think
Well,
it's
it's
the
because it's so
number one
popular
injuries.
right
Yeah.
now.
But it's our age people. Like,
Right.
it's also, we're not moving around much. Now we try to go be quick.
I
Yeah.
know, right?
Yeah. Look at the Toe Pro. It's like $60.
Okay.
Yep.
And there's a great video the guy has on there. You can watch all the different exercises he recommends.
Don't do them all at once, though.
Yeah, don't-
I'm telling you, you can't.
that's a challenge.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
Lord. Yeah.
Here's a weird question. I was born pigeon-toed. The way that the protocol for what they used to do, I mean, I'm 60, so what they did when I had to sleep with the bar between my legs, toes turned out, the whole thing. They prescribed going to ballet lessons, so I started ballet when I was 5. They don't do stuff like that, those kind of antiquated things for pigeon-toed kids anymore, do they?
I'm not really sure. That doesn't usually make it into my office.
It doesn't.
No, but I think it might still happen. There's a lot of.
I would just think there would be. I would just think that there would be issues, perhaps that would definitely. They don't. That doesn't make its way into your office, huh?
Not really.
Okay.
No, because I think you're with the ortho and they have different plan, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, this was
so they wouldn't think. This you got to think outside of the box, right? Like people like Stephanie. Like part of that whole conversation has to do with okay, we're going to throw away the whole entire protocol that you were given by your by your orthopedic surgeon. Yeah, because there's too many variables, but to their defense, I mean, you can't also make everything be about one person at a time.
Yeah.
Guys like me, I can make it about your specific case, about your history of injury, about your weak feet while we're waiting for your ACL to heal. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's a lot to do. But if you have to give one broad brushstroke, then you got liability.
There's the printed instructions that we give to everybody.
Exactly, because there's also liability with all that too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. How many people do you get? Well, I'm sure none of the people that Brad sends you, they're all in probably. But do you ever get anybody come through the door that you start to do your thing? They're like, oh, I'm out. They think it's too woo-woo, too weird, too. They're not all in.
No, you know what? Most people don't start with me unless they know somebody I'm close with.
Okay.
Because then that whole thing has been already squashed. Most people, if they're not from a direct referral source of somebody I know or whatever, then it really ends up being somebody who has failed so many other things.
So they're ready.
Because we charge more money. So that's always a barrier of entry, right? Like, oh, what's this chiropractor going to do versus this one or my PT that's covered by my insurance? And it's like, hey, if it's serving you well, that's great. Then you don't need us.
Yeah.
But the ones that don't do well in that process because things are missing or because of too much of this or not enough of that, those are the ones that are at least willing to go through a couple of sessions and do some exercises to really feel what's different. Because until they experience it, hey, you can't read it on the internet. That's why I don't even bother trying to write the right prose to it to get people to come in and see me.
You guys are busy enough. It makes me a little nervous to do this podcast.
Yeah.
But a lot of times with a client, in my scenario is I see them dealing with something that's not getting better. They have their person. It's not obviously not getting better. I'm like, you've been there 20 times. It should be a lot better by now. And I'll say like, hey, I got someone I want you to go see. Well, what do they charge? I'm like, it's expensive. Well, how expensive? I'm like, I'll tell you what. Go to the first session. And if it is a waste of your time, I will cover the fee.
Oh.
Because I can't explain what it is you're going to do.
Right. What's different?
Because they're asking, well, what's different about him? I'm like, oh, he's a chiropractor, has osteopathic background. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
And so I just like, look, just go.
Trust me, yeah.
And if you go and it was a waste of your time, I will pay for it.
You ever had anybody do that?
Never had to pay for it. Because everyone comes back like, what in the hell just happened? What was that?
Yeah.
Why didn't you send me sooner? I'm like, I've tried. Like, you had your person. Like, you were going through your thing. Like, and the other thing I love is, I mean, extreme injury, like what Stephanie dealt with, like that's going to take a lot of time. But a lot of these things people are dealing with, it's only a couple of visits and it's gone.
Yeah.
Like,
especially if they do the exercise. That's why the right kind of person and the conversation about Stephanie is like, are they willing to work hard?
Yeah.
Because if you're not willing to work hard, then it breaks down the process of.
And I'd worked with her enough to know, like, yeah, she's that person. Like,
yeah, of course. And then she was a high achiever, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. The best way I can put it with people as well is, Brendan Steele has used you guys for a long time. And Brendan Steele's a professional golfer. And the way he puts it is this: he goes, there's a lot of good physical therapists out there. So like if I'm a little banged up, I can go see those guys.
Yeah.
But if I'm fucked up, I'm calling these guys.
Right.
There's nobody better. To the point where literally, like,
It's amazing.
Yeah, he was in Mexico City preparing for a live event, and like coming out of a bunker, slips, throws his back out. Like he was playing great, first hole, slip. Like all of a sudden the next day couldn't get up. Flies Dr. Adams out, and goes from like not being able to even get out of bed to like played the whole tournament, played great. Like that's the big difference. Is like, okay, there's lots of good therapists out there, and I agree with that. But when you're really fucked up, there's no one better than these guys. And most of my professional athletes in height, I work with a lot of very successful people. That's kind of the agreement is that. So that's another way I can share with people, like, well, here's what my pro athletes say. You do with what you want. But
I just heard that from Dr. Adams yesterday. That was quite a story. Like,
is that he works with you?
Yeah, he and I have been working together for a long time.
Okay, got it.
And the heat was obviously on, and then he went back and played on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever it is.
Yeah, played the whole tournament, and then from there had to fly to Seoul, Korea, played in that tournament.
Wow.
Like, yeah. Like you wouldn't expect to be at a point where you're in so much pain that you can't get out of bed, two, you can't stand up straight, let alone go swing a golf club.
Yeah.
Super hard and very fast, day after day after day. Yeah, and he got him right back. So that's that's kind of some of the ways I get people to just go try it. Like, so stories like that.
Yeah.
And then I start like, okay, fine, go. And if it's a waste of time, I'll pay for it. Because I know if they just go and experience it and how much better they'll feel, they'll realize, oh, what have I been wasting all this money for?
Yeah.
Session after session after session after session over here when this could be fixed so fast. So
that's amazing. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Dude, you've earned my trust and my respect. I mean, decades ago. Like I still haven't met anyone that does what you guys do to the level you guys do it. I mean, the guys you've trained, like just the best of the best in this realm. So that's the only people I'll send my people to are you or the guys you've trained. Right. Because I just
amazing.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah.
What percentage of professional athletes do you work with? A lot?
It's not a numbers game as far as many. It just depends on if it's a team.
Oh, you have teams that you work with.
If it's a team thing, yes. There's not too many of those.
Okay.
It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy.
Sure.
And it also takes a lot of buy-in because mostly, to his point, like at the nth level, which would, all of these superstars, you get a whole team of superstars, especially in football. What do you got, 52?
Yeah.
Everybody's got their guy.
Yeah.
So it's like walking into that hornet's nest is usually not a,
Yes.
But with the 49ers back in 2018, they got a new guy that was hired to run their human performance. Like he was responsible for finding the best of the best to coach them in nutrition and movement strategies and all of these different things. And luckily, my name came up that I was just in Southern California. Yeah. And so they started using us as a consultant on injuries that weren't meeting their criteria because they have a very, very specific, like, okay, if you tear your hamstring on this day, they know exactly how many days and you should be back totally fine. It's like amazing, right? Yeah. Baseball numbers, stuff like that. Except this was for football injuries. And they would call us up. I would go up there, whatever, work. They would be watching everything that we did, writing everything down, and then they started wanting to be educated. So then I started educating them probably in 2019. So I was teaching them the pumping. The staff up there all knows the pumping and stuff and other things. And then as that continued to snowball, then 3 years ago, I think it was now, they asked for me to be up there every week during the season. So that's part of what I do to answer your question. That's like the team approach, but it's because there's buy-in all the way up.
Right, up the food chain, so to speak. Yeah.
Everybody's got to understand why I'm there, what I'm doing with their guys. And then when I leave, it can't don't wait for me till next Tuesday. Yeah. Everybody there can pump their ankle and pump this and do this. Yeah. And they've had, a lot of the numbers were all based on soft tissue injury. The ones that can manage the soft tissue injuries the best have the least amount of missed games, missed hours, missed practice, whatever it is. So it's all they've determined that it's all about the soft tissue, and the pumping for the tissue and the joint is unparalleled.
Yeah.
So that guy got hired away. Ben Peterson, awesome, really smart PhD, because he got hired by the Atlanta Hawks.
Oh, wow.
Now he's going to set the same path for them because of,
Well, while he was there and you guys were there was a drastic drop in their injuries.
they were one of the worst in the league.
Injury-wise?
Injury-wise, like bottom 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
I should know this, but
Or top 5, depending upon what way you're saying it.
Exactly. And then, within a year or so, and they having this new system in place and making these guys drink enough water and also watch their nutrition, the ones that would listen. You know what I mean? It was more than just what we were doing. But when you pay that close of attention and really care, it changes the quality of the tissue and how well they bounce back from things. And they went to the upper 10.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, it
in
is.
sports, right?
For sure.
Keeping people playing, keeping all
You
those.
kind of get like called out all the time, all over the world to go see different athletes for different things, right?
It depends, like to your point about Brendan, it's like it depends on how bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody's in a jam, like we're getting into the NHL playoffs right now, so getting further along, things start to change. The immediacy of what needs to be done, like
emergency,
on call.
But hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's
Yeah.
just the regular athletes coming to Orange County or everybody else that I see, which is really super rewarding.
Dr. Jason and I, so we worked together for years.
Yeah.
And we had the most epic environment.
Yeah.
Because you could walk in a facility and any given day, and there was going to be MLB guys, NFL guys, hockey guys, or business guys. It was so awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, like every single day. And it didn't matter what day of the week it was. You walk in, you're guaranteed 1 or 2 professional athletes, big time CEOs, and they're all hanging out. They're playing golf together.
Right.
That's cool.
It was such an epic environment.
Yeah.
I miss those days so much. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, hey, we're kind of running out of time. Yeah, we could have wrapped for another hour.
For sure. For sure. I love your wife.
Thank you. So do I.
I'm glad that you do. Do you remember when I I was talking to Nicolette at Mother's, and this is before you guys started dating. Do you remember this story?
I think so.
And you happened to cruise by. We were talking, because I did teacher training with Nicolette.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And she and I were chatting. Jason comes by, and the palpable chemistry between those two.
You knew right there.
I was like,
oh my God.
Holy cow. And they chatted and what have you and left. And I'm like, I need a shower. So, and the rest is history. The rest is history.
2 little
yes,
girls,
I love it. I love it.
I couldn't be happier. That's been the biggest change since we've worked together for me.
Now you're chasing around 2 kids of your own.
No, I mean, I got to have what I really wanted in life.
Yeah.
It was different from
Yeah.
more study, more whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. But I found the woman that to spend the rest of my life with.
I love it.
I have my beautiful girls. I'm a girl dad now.
I love it.
Which is
and they're
crazy.
beautiful.
They
are beautiful.
They're awesome.
Yes.
I think every man deserves a little girl.
Yes, agree.
Or 2.
Exactly. So much fun. Is there do you need to be in a bad way to come see you? There's not maintenance things that you don't have maintenance protocols?
Good question. All the maintenance is doing the right exercise. Like I try to teach people that they need to think, especially the ones that are in your guys' world of like fit people.
Sure.
They have to think of their spine like they think of their glutes and their hamstrings and their abs and their this. You got to maintain the movability of your spine, because I don't care how strong you get. If you lose the flexibility of your spine, all is going away at some point. And that, I think, that's the maintenance. The maintenance for us is really about getting another program from Max and like improving what you're doing.
No, I just mean
outside.
someone like me. Like I'm not in pain when some my shoulders, whatever. Yeah. But I just come see you. Do you have protocols for? Let's give you an evaluation and see your movement patterns and.
It has to do with the specific movements of each and every part of the joint.
Okay.
Joints, I should say. So that's fundamental. Like a lot of people are walking around and they don't have a pain yet, or they whatever, and and their pelvis isn't moving correctly. Is jacked, whatever. They don't have a hip problem. They don't have. But I start asking them questions, but they have problems with their bladder.
Oh.
Or they have problems with their colon, and all those things are attached in there. So the bone is the big boss, we say, in a lot of those cases of even liver and colon. Like you at least have to rule in or out.
Yeah.
The physicality, it's not just the liver's not doing its job. You need to take another supplement.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if the liver's too tight because the diaphragm's too tight, because they're like immediate neighbors, this diaphragm, the one you breathe with, nobody stretches their diaphragm.
Right.
That I've met. I don't know how many athletes you know that have stretched their diaphragm. And if they're a sprint athlete, which means they're just doing high intensity, just like your calf, if you spend your whole life not stretching that, these guys and women's VO2 goes down. They think that's part of the aging process, but a lot of times that's just because your diaphragm got too tight.
Interesting.
So the diaphragm then has an impact on all kinds of things. So to your point, yes, there's a whole other area of expertise in this osteopathy, which is how the viscera are related to all the other parts of the body.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, before we go. Oh my God, I totally forgot about this. So I want you to talk a little bit about water fasting. So Dr. Jason, maybe 6 months ago, took me through my first water fast.
Yeah.
I loved it. Great experience.
Did you love it? You did love it.
I loved how I felt afterwards.
Okay, that's fair.
And I mean, it was rough because the way he does it, you don't
Different.
The way we did it, you don't just sit around and do nothing but drink water.
Yeah.
There's a lot of activity. Like it was a lot. I wonder, can you, because it's a big thing.
I know it's a big thing.
But, after hearing how people do it, and then I asked you because I knew you had a lot of background on it to take me through it. Very different.
Okay.
Just hit a couple like little.
Sure. I mean, this is from my mentor Guy Voyer. Like from the day I met him in 2011, he would always be going off on these tangents talking about, you Americans, you guys don't fast. You don't even know what you're doing. You don't know anything about how to change your physiology. He's like, the single most powerful thing that you can do to the human body is water fast it. Like, period. And then, what do you do, Guy? Oh, well, you drink high quality water and you exercise. How much? Oh, 2-3 hours a day.
What?
Yeah.
And lift your weights. It's like, what else are you going to do? But more importantly, it's to move all this water
Stagnant.
in your... Yes.
Oh.
Disease is a relative of stagnation.
Yes.
You can call it chi. You can call it the water.
Right.
Stagnation, the water goes bad. That's not good.
No.
So you want to cleanse that water.
Well,
So
I remember
that's
you had me do like these compartmentalized like movements for my
for your colon.
intestines and colon.
I mean,
and all
we have
that.
9-part abs. There's 9 exercises that you do in a series to push to really help clean the colon.
Yeah.
So you do that during that time. Yeah, you do a lot of cardiovascular exercise.
Really?
You do a lot of sauna.
Yeah.
That help to try to exchange this water of your body.
And then how you come off of it? That was something that was
I
interesting.
mean, that has a lot to do with just like veggies and smoothies and fruits and really
Easing back in.
Easily
fermented foods
and
and-
fermented food. Yeah, you got to repopulate your gut if you go too many days.
You're not going to Fleming's first,
no,
right out of the chute.
No, even though you'd love to. Yeah.
For sure. I remember getting to the end. I'm like, okay, what do I do? And he's giving me. I'm like,
Oh.
really?
And then the second day, then you go have sushi. That's usually how I like to do
that
it.
was epic.
The sushi, the sushi you have after you fasted like 4 or 5 days.
Oh my Lord, epic.
You'll never have better sushi
How
in your
long
life.
was the fast? I remember was it 3 days?
72 hours, right? Yeah.
Holy
that one
moly.
was.
That's cool.
But the best part was like, this is your warm up for the real fast later.
Right.
What's the real one?
I mean, pushing yourself to 10, 12 days.
Have you done that?
I haven't made it that far. I'm at 6. But after like 3 days, it really becomes a lot easier than you think.
Really?
It's the first 3 days the first 2 days you can't stop thinking about food.
Day 2 was hard for me. Day 3 was pretty easy.
And then it starts to get easier. And then if you go past that 72, then you're like living on your ketones and all of that. Your brain's fine. You go through some fog and that, but you're detoxing like.
Wow.
You know, I like to explain to a patient, you can't clean the oven while you're baking cakes and your broccoli in there.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You can't do both.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's where the premise of they teach that in medical schools in Europe, in places where you really want to learn how to manipulate the physiology for your benefit, but that's not who's running this country. So
Well, I remember when you okay, hey, we've talked. You told me one day water fast. We're starting on Monday. I'm like, well, I have a full schedule on Sunday. It's like, oh, good, it'll be a distraction. I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
And not only that, you got to exercise this much. You got to do saunas. I'm like, what?
Whoa.
I was thinking I need like
Chill.
3 days just to do nothing.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah. No.
Wow.
It was pretty crazy. But it was, by the end of it, I felt epic.
I mean, your vision changes, your hearing changes.
Really?
Smell sensitivity. I could smell a lot better.
It's crazy.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I remember running into Nicolette at Firm Farm when
She was on it.
Yes, and she was crabby.
she did it-
She was crabby.
she did it
Same
with
time
us.
you did it.
Well, yeah, we all did it. That's why it was like on a Monday, because Nicolette and I were talking about it. She's like, well, I think the best time to do it is probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was like probably Saturday or something. I'm like, I'll let Brad know.
Oh,
That's how it came up.
wow.
Yeah, I was expecting I'm gonna take a Friday off. and
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, do nothing.
Feet up on the
sleep.
couch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
was
And that's
the-
not for everybody. Not everybody should start there.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
you know, 24-hour fasting once a week is a great way to start too.
Yeah.
On top of maybe the, after you've done the intermittent maybe for a while.
Mm.
And then, then I think, there's a lot more to it. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whole nother
those
podcast.
Are the
Yeah.
those are the bullet points.
Yeah, thank you.
I would say.
I would have been so upset with myself
Yeah.
if I would have forgot that. That's the whole reason we did it, because I wanted to talk about it on the podcast. That's
Right.
the whole reason why I did it with you. And here I had the opportunity, and almost just blew it.
That's funny.
So awesome.
So
Well,
much
hey,
for that cognitive benefit.
That's right.
Phew.
Been through a little bit of stuff.
Yeah,
between
no,
now
for
and
sure.
then. Where can people reach you? Find information about you?
I have a new website, linkprosport.com. I'm no longer Link Medical. You said that in the beginning.
Oh, you're Link Pro.
That's okay.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know that.
Linkprosport.com. That's like the easiest way to find out a little bit more information about us and what we do and where we're located, which is currently in Newport Beach on Orchard.
Yeah. And just forewarning, when you go into his office, he deals with a lot of concussions. Like, that's one of their specialties. And so it's a very different environment than what you think it's going to be.
Really?
I remember one time I sent one of my
Very
buddies.
yin.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very, like, take your shoes off. It's
Okay.
super mellow. I sent one of my buddies over to have his kid looked at, but I didn't tell him
Yeah.
that they'd worked with athletes and anything like that. So they walk into this place, and the first thing the guy asked him, like, so have you ever worked with an athlete before? He's like,
Once or twice.
Brad didn't tell you?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He was so mad at me.
Yeah, it doesn't always,
Yeah.
there's some different energy going on there.
Yeah.
Which is good for
Yeah.
all healing,
For sure.
Yeah, it's quiet, it's calming.
Right.
It's awesome. But people expect something very different when you send
Talking
them
about
over
an
there.
athlete, that's right.
Doesn't Nicolette do something out of your office as well? She working with some people?
Yes.
Okay.
She does some of the meditation and
Nice.
breathing
Phenomenal.
for athletes and non-athletes. Like, that's a big area where I think people, it's hard to learn from a book
Yes,
or whatever,
yes.
and you need to experience it. And she's an incredible teacher at breathing.
Yes.
She's actually doing some early off-season programming that I'm doing for some guys that are already finished in the NHL right now for the season. And she's changing their meditation practice on
Awesome.
every couple of days to like get them to, because everybody says, oh, I can't do that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, well, my wife can help coach you on
Yeah.
how to do it and
Yeah.
why.
The best.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Dr. Jason Amstutz, by the way, full name.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, man. Really appreciate
No
having
problem.
you on the
Thanks
show.
for having me on.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.